Hey, it's Adrienne. Thanks for tuning in. Unconditional love. Oh, doesn't that sound romantic and wonderful? Unconditional love. We've all heard the term, but we often don't give it to ourselves, let alone each other. But we're really good at giving conditional love. Hmm. Very often, our parents and caregivers let us know that if we do this, then we're lovable. They're not being evil. They just don't know the research, maybe, and they're trying to bring up good members of society and keep the kids safe. By the way, we don't always feel loved by people who actually love us and care about us. And here's one reason. Did you know that it takes 5 compliments or kudos to balance out one criticism? The brain will totally focus on the criticism and ignore the compliment. So it requires more compliments to balance out a criticism. I know it doesn't seem logical at all, but that's what the research says. And you don't even need the research. I bet you can think of a time when someone gave you some negative feedback and some really good feedback. I bet it was the negative feedback that festered in your mind and kept you awake. Criticism weighs on us and very often sticks in our mind way more than compliments. We need more of the positive to counterbalance the negative. Not because we're a princess, not because we're a snowflake, but because we're human. So, unconditional love means that you love someone, period. They don't need to do anything to keep that love. There are no conditions that they must meet because your love is unconditional. That doesn't mean that bad behavior is okay, by the way. It just means that you love yourself more and that if someone treats you poorly, you still love them, but from a distance. I was challenged. There are a few individuals in the universe who I had difficulty finding any compassion or love for, but I'll tell you how I made it work. Um, Babies are worthy of love. So if you think of the person that you're having difficulty having any compassion for as a baby coming into the world, because that's how we all got here, you know, that baby had no biases, no meanness, no vengeance, just love. You know how sometimes there is a person that you would like to drop kick for being a bit of a twit? Well, you'd never want to drop kick a baby because they were drooling. You might want to leave the room if they're crying really loud, but at some level, you know that the baby's essence, the truth of who they are, it's innocence, it's love. And by the way, they know they're lovable until someone teaches them that they aren't. That's true for you too, by the way. If you need to find more love for yourself, think of yourself as that innocent, loving baby that came into the world. No emotional buttons, no imposter syndrome, no insecurities or bad behavior, no past behavior to hold over you. As a baby, you were innocent and lovable, period. And you knew your worth. I have a friend who I've known since I was a young teenager. She's one of my favorite people on the planet, and we were fast friends for decades until a few years ago. She had a few things going on in her life, and she won't talk about what was behind her decision, but she needs to have distance from me right now. Now, I could get all offended, take it personally, and say, fine, F you, but I love her unconditionally. She's an amazing human. And one day she'll open up to me or come back to our friendship or not. Either way, I love her, period. I have another friend who is deeply unreliable and without meaning to hurts me over and over again. He's also wonderful in many ways. I love him unconditionally, but to be clear, I don't rely on him, and he's not welcome in my life if he treats me poorly. But I don't say horrible things about him or try to change him or try to leverage my love for better behavior. I just love him from a distance and appreciate the amazing aspects of who he is. Of course, I know the poor qualities and bad behavior. They're there, but why focus on them? It's not the full truth of who he is. So, have you noticed how often we try to change people? Women especially, well, women of a younger generation or two ago were often heard talking about their fiance, saying, "Oh, I'm so excited. We're getting married and I'll change him and then he'll be a good catch." Wow, what an insult. I love you if I'm going to marry you, but to be clear, you're not good enough, so I have to change you. Hmm, I wonder why the divorce rate is so high. Oh, here's another favorite. I love you, but in my early 20s, I had a great boyfriend. We were together for almost 5 years. We were a really good match in so many ways. And one day his mom sat me down and said, "Adrienne, we love you so much. Our friends even love you. You're such a wonderful person." And I could hear it. So I said, "But?" And she said, "But you're not of our faith. I love you, but." Ugh, that but negates everything that came before it. So I encourage a limited use of the word but. I digress. So maybe unconditional love isn't for you. It's a choice. But let's not tell people that our love for them is unconditional as long as they meet a bunch of conditions. So to recap, unconditional love means we won't put conditions on our love. And you are worthy of giving yourself unconditional love, just saying. And also remember at work or at home, for every one criticism that you give to somebody, be mindful of sharing at least 5 positive things authentically to balance it out, or they're going to think you don't like them. Thinking of yourself or others as a newborn baby can help when you're trying to find love or compassion for somebody. Use but discriminately because it negates everything that came before it, which hurts, especially if you're talking about love. And you, dear one, you are absolutely worthy of love, period. The beautiful thing about learning to love yourself means that you teach people how to treat you, and you teach them that you are worthy of love, because you are. I hope you'll join me next time when I talk about the dark sides of you that you think just might not be lovable. Until then, take care.